She walked into the lobby like she didn't belong there, worn boots clicking on marble, a canvas bag slung over one shoulder, and not a trace of designer anything. The receptionist didn't bother hiding her smirk. Interviews down the hall. Third door, she said, already turning to whisper something to a colleague. Eliza nodded, quiet. She'd heard that tone before. Back home when she fixed tractors better than most men, at the farmer's market where her produce outsold the big-name vendors. Same voice, different setting. She didn't flinch. In the waiting area, sleek suits and stiff smiles. One man actually chuckled when she sat down. "You here for the assistant role or just lost?" he asked, amused. She offered a polite smile and said nothing. He didn't deserve the truth. They called her in 15 minutes late. The interview panel looked exhausted, uninterested, already checked out. One of them scanned her resume, printed and stapled. He held it like it was a relic. "No LinkedIn?" he asked. "No, sir," she said. "Didn't seem necessary." "Interesting," another muttered, scribbling something. "Tell us about your leadership experience. You haven't worked in a corporate environment, have you?" "No," Eliza said simply. "But I've led teams, managed schedules, balanced budgets, negotiated with vendors, handled crises, trained people who couldn't read spreadsheets but could build an irrigation system from scratch. Leadership doesn't always wear a tie." There was silence. They weren't impressed. "What's your experience with sales targets?" one asked, almost mockingly. "Sold out our co-op stock 5 seasons in a row. Turned a loss into a surplus in 2. Didn't need a CRM, just trust and consistency." A woman on the panel leaned back, arms crossed. "What's your long-term goal?" "To solve problems," Eliza said, not missing a beat. "I don't care about titles. I care about fixing what's broken." A beat passed. No one spoke. One man, older, with a lazy eye and a nervous tic, cleared his throat and looked at his phone. Then at her. Something shifted in his expression. Subtle. Curious. She noticed. She noticed everything. Behind him, a photo sat on the shelf. A fishing boat on a lake, red and blue. She'd seen that boat before. Not in person, but in a picture on someone's phone. The man who took it was smiling, wind in his hair, the same one who'd said, "This place calms me." No boardrooms. Just sky. They dismissed her without ceremony. "We'll let you know," someone mumbled. In the hallway, laughter trailed behind her as the next candidate walked in wearing Italian leather. She didn't look back. But just before the elevator doors closed, her phone buzzed. One message. No name attached. "Stay in town." Her heart didn't skip. Her breath didn't hitch. She simply smiled. They had no idea who she was. Yet, 3 months before that interview, Eliza was hauling lumber across a muddy field when a stranger's rental SUV spun into a ditch nearby. She reached him first, blood on his temple, dazed but conscious. No fuss. She helped him up, drove him to the clinic, and never asked questions. He stayed in town for weeks after. Said he needed to disconnect. He didn't say who he was. She didn't ask. They talked over coffee and silence. He watched how she solved problems without noise, how the locals came to her, not because she was loud, but because she listened. His name was Marcus. He told her late, long after he'd learned her rhythms. CEO of a tech conglomerate. Worth billions. She didn't react. She just said, "Title doesn't change the man." He smiled like it was the first time someone meant that. They never called it a relationship. It wasn't about labels. It was about understanding. No spotlight, no strings. Just something real, quiet, necessary. He asked her once what she wanted. She said, "To matter," without asking for permission. He nodded like he understood. When he left, he said nothing about jobs or favors. Just pressed a number into her palm. "If you ever come to the city, text me." She didn't. Instead, she applied for the job on her own. Took the bus. Paid for her own hotel. Walked into that building not as someone's secret, but as herself. After the interview, While others celebrated or sulked, she waited. Watched. Noticed things, like how the receptionist shredded a folder she hadn't logged. Or how one of the interviewers had a call labeled confidential overseas just 10 minutes after she left. She hadn't even unpacked when the message came in. No signature. Just stay in town. 2 days later, she got an offer. Not for the position she applied for, but something lower. Administrative floater. Entry level. Forgettable. Exactly where no one would pay attention. She took it without hesitation. By the end of the first week, she knew who ran the office, and it wasn't on any org chart. She knew who lied to whose face, who left early and falsified reports, who moved USB drives between meetings like nothing. She never asked for access. She didn't need it. She had eyes. She had memory. She had silence. And she had one advantage no one else in that building did. She wasn't there to impress anyone. She was there to see everything. And they were too busy looking down to notice she was already watching. Her ID badge didn't open many doors, but she didn't need it to get where she wanted. She moved through the building like furniture, seen, ignored, unthreatening. Perfect. She was assigned to copy rooms, storerooms, mail runs, menial work. She listened more than she spoke. In the break room, managers bragged like no one was listening. "IT's too stupid to trace anything," one said, laughing over coffee. Another muttered about backdated invoices that didn't match project timelines. Eliza filed it all away. Names, dates, times. She had a steel trap for patterns and a poker face to match. She took note of one man who never made eye contact, who flinched when the word audit came up. Another who always seemed to be printing after hours. One late night, she passed the finance floor and saw an open spreadsheet left unattended, rows of vendor payments, but 3 names stood out. They weren't vendors. They were shell companies. And she knew one of them from a conversation she'd overheard days earlier. She made friends with people others ignored. The janitor who had keys to everything. The cafeteria guy who saw who left early. The IT tech who fixed a laptop with a smile and no questions asked. She never asked for help directly, just listened, gave respect, and earned quiet loyalty in return. The deeper she looked, the worse it got. Data was leaking, slow, deliberate, hard to trace. Someone high enough to bypass alert. Someone hiding behind people who didn't even know they were part of it. And every time she connected a dot, she found another layer beneath it. She kept her notes in code. Never digital. Everything was in her head or scribbled in shorthand that looked like grocery lists. No trail. No suspicion. She spotted a name she recognized from the interview. One of the smug ones, the kind who'd looked her up and down like dirt. He was in meetings that didn't show on calendars. Received packages that never went through the mailroom. She watched him carefully. Never followed. Just waited. The mistake came when he used a public printer and forgot to collect the second page. She saw it. A contract, half redacted. Offshore transactions. Company letterhead. Wrong department. Wrong authority. She pocketed the page. The next morning, her phone buzzed once. Careful. No sender. No follow-up. She deleted the message and kept moving. They still thought she was nobody. Let them. The mistake they made was assuming no one was watching. Especially not the girl they'd shoved into a corner office with no windows and a stack of shredded paperwork to organize. But Eliza saw everything. She'd traced the leak to 3 people, mid-level, quiet, protected. They moved like they had nothing to hide. That was the giveaway. Real innocence didn't rehearse its alibi. One of them had access to server backup. Another handled contracts. The third signed off on expenses that never hit the ledger. She tested a theory. Sent a fake email to legal from a dummy account. Subject line: security clearance attached. No actual file. Just a timestamp. Within an hour, someone tried to access a non-existent folder on the shared drive. Hook, line, response. Eliza didn't confront. She baited. She scheduled a fake internal file transfer, Left the info accidentally visible in the copy room. Then she waited. 2 of the suspects showed up early the next morning. Not together, but both passed by the same terminal. 5 minutes apart. She had already planted a keystroke logger. Just a cheap one, nothing fancy. But enough to confirm they were trying to breach a system they had no reason to touch. That night, she took the elevator to the top floor. No one stopped her. Marcus was waiting. No introductions, no questions. Just silence and then, tell me. She laid it out clean. Names, tactics, timelines, the patterns no one else saw. The moment she was done, he asked just one thing. You recorded this? She slid a flash drive across the desk. Redundant copies. He didn't touch it. Why now? Because the company's bleeding, she said. And they're laughing while it does. He looked at her for a long time. Then he picked up the phone. She left before hearing what he said. Didn't need to. They underestimated the quiet one. Again. The company gathered in the main hall for what they thought was a quarterly update. Marcus stood at the podium, calm, composed. Before we get into numbers, he said, I want to address a breach. A hush spread. Eyes darted. Whispers started. He continued. Over the past few months, sensitive data was leaked. Internal systems compromised. Trusted employees exploited their access. He paused. We didn't catch them through audits or software. We caught them because one person saw what no one else did. Murmurs. Confusion. Then a door opened. Eliza stepped in. People turned. Blinks. Stares. Someone actually gasped. The girl from the mailroom. The one they mocked. The one they forgot. Marcus didn't say her name. He didn't have to. He just said, she found them. Tracked them. Stopped them. Quietly. Completely. Security entered, cuffed the 3 employees Eliza had flagged. No resistance. Just shame. One of the panelists from her interview tried to speak. Something weak, maybe an apology, but Eliza didn't look at her. She didn't need it. After the meeting, Marcus found her alone by the window. You didn't need help, he said. But I was ready if you did. I know, she said. That's why I didn't ask. He offered her a new role. Strategic advisor. Internal oversight. Real authority. No noise. She accepted it without blinking. The next week, she sat at the table they once told her she'd never reach. Not because of favoritism. Not because of a secret relationship. Because she earned it. Silently. Relentlessly. And the ones who once laughed? They didn't make eye contact anymore.